Good afternoon, Katharina. So happy to have you here. You're the first speaker in our dialogue series on conscious Umeå. From what I understand, you are an interaction and experience designer with a multidisciplinary background, and you're pursuing your master's in interaction design at Umeå Institute of Design. At the Conscious Cities Network, most of us are architects and social science researchers. Could you tell us a little more about what exactly an interaction designer does?
Good afternoon, first of all, and thanks a lot for the invitation. I'm super happy to be here this afternoon with you and talk a little bit. And yeah, I will try to keep that short. We just discussed a bit that I would always trying to explain that can take like even an hour. So I'll just cite one important person in design, Don Norman, or yeah, someone probably most of designers have heard of, and he described user experience design as something that encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its services, and its products. So while user experience is a combination of tasks focused on the optimization of a product for an effective and an enjoyable use, user interface design is its complement, the look and feel, the presentation, and interactivity of a product. So UX is about the overall feel of the experience, while UI is more about the product's look and function, I would say. And what I think in Umeå is very special about studying in this field, and why I also enjoy it a lot, is I think we try to take a step back and even understand what interaction is, and what does it mean between human machine, but also human to human, and is the outcome necessarily an interface? Is it a product? Is it a physical product? What is it we need? And that's, yeah, something I really like about studying in Umeå.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, of course. And as someone who just moved to Umeå, the first thing that stands about the city is the presence of designers and the celebration of design in general. So if you could tell us a little more about what exactly led you to the city and to the field, and it would be great to understand your motivations and intent behind choosing this field.
Yeah, sure. So I think I had quite a long journey to then end up in Umeå. I started off in a school for fashion and management. That was like my first step of developing tools and how to express the things I'm finding, seeing, learning, experiencing through design. So I think there I had a really great time and thought, and then really enjoyed expressing myself with through creative ways. And I had this great project about the group of women from the countryside in Western Austria where I grew up. They were doing amazing things in the 19th century. They through handicraft and earning their own money. And my project was then about this whole topic, to express that in clothes and what they could look like. And I just loved working on this, and the conversation we created around that. And so I was really thinking fashion is the thing to go for, and this is the place where I can do that, continue to do that. So I joined a fashion company for 2 years, and it was a great experience. I think I learned a lot. I was always quite good in structuring my work and planning, but that was amazing 2 years to even get better at that. I was part of the whole process, which was also nice to be start off with like, where do you get your inspiration from? Art, media, vintage pieces, whatever it could be, architecture, until the point of then seeing the first pieces coming back from production. So that was amazing. But I also realized more and more that I'm disagreeing with many things that I'm seeing, and about like body type that we are supporting. So it's only one specific type that we see is beautiful, and fashion. Wage gaps is also real in fashion industry. No, there wasn't a lot of support for women who would like to follow their career but also have a family, and also just being part of fashion industry, thinking about the impact on the environment. So I started looking for alternatives and got inspired by a couple of super interesting projects that involved design. And I started getting a better idea also of the term of what design can be. It's like such a broad field, and has so many different meanings for different people. And at that time, I think there was one project about prosthetics, and how to improve the health and for people living on an income of, I think, less than $4 per day. Um, and another one was about how to involve the community in the rural US, so they don't move away into bigger cities but actually stay, because I think that's a problem we're facing in many parts of the world. And all these two projects specifically involve design, and that was, I think, the moment where I thought, okay, it's not, we don't only have fashion design, there's so many other areas to follow. And so I got into product design, um, which again was very styling based, and working around this understanding of making things, like making new things in as opposed to thinking about what we have, and dealing with the stuff that is happening around us, like politics and yeah, sustainability. I just think there wasn't enough conversation around that, and the question about why are we doing things. I think there was a lot of this 90s approach in design, like we as designers, we know what is good for others and we do it that way. And I really, yeah, I struggled with that, I think, because I was always, I wanted to know more, and I wanted to involve people who actually face certain problems, and use our creative capacity together with others to find solutions. And luckily, my bachelor's program always had a good connection to Umeå, which is also how I heard about Umeå and the design school. And I looked through students' projects and the way they worked, and I think it just came very natural to apply, and because I had this feeling of they are using co-creative methods. They involve people in the process way more. They do a lot of research. They try to look at full systems and question where and what we need to improve, and what we can change, and also what kind of impact does this change have? Is it always positive, or do we have unintended results from that? Yeah. So long story. This is why I'm here.
Wow, that's brilliant. It almost seems like your first experience with design sort of made you very conscious of people, their identities, and the roles they play in society. And with that, you also started thinking about the process of design, which means that the fact that you cared about the community and wanted to involve them in the process, and then not just opposed to designing for them, and the fact that you touched upon the intentions behind designing something, and the fact that all of this led you here. It's amazing because I think at the end of the day, that's exactly what conscious cities movement has also been advocating for. And wow, so it looks like you literally woke up as a conscious designer and you're here now, and just happy to be in conversation with you. Right. You mentioned something about sustainability, of course, and sustainability as a global intention has been there for at least 2 decades now. But what would you say your experience with sustainability as a process, as a goal, and as a guide really has been like?
So for me, in the way I work,
Sure.
or yeah.
Yeah. Your perspective on it and how you embody sustainability as a principle or as a guiding
Mhm.
light in your work.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, also what I experienced through my education and my work experience is this involvement of people and including others and their standpoint. I think for me, the design feminist theory is very important in also sustainable design, because it recognizes that knowledge is situated in a person's individual experience and their worldview, their emotions and motives. It's all this reflects what we are doing, and I think that is something, or that is an important point why I really think we have to open up the conversation with others and um, try to include more, and but also we have to understand and locate our own position and background as designers and being aware of where we're coming from, what our privileges are, and also talk about that. um, I think also in my journey and my thinking of sustainable design, there was one book that I see as a very important influence for me, called Design Justice by Sasha Costanza Chock, where they talk about rethinking design process, center people who are normally marginalized by design, and use collaborative creative practices to address challenges communities face. And with those in design to sustain and heal and empower. And I think that is a very beautiful approach and also very important one, and just something I try to follow somehow. And um, I think another point is to move away from this design perspective where we just create and we are the ones that are the experts, um, to becoming facilitators and to make or see everyone as an expert that we involve, based on their lived experience, and see that everyone has amazing contributions to make in a design process. Because I think also coming back to this point of we are reflecting our backgrounds or our experiences in what we make. As designers, we use tools to imagine objects and images, buildings, systems, whatever, that do not yet exist. But this also means we're proposing a certain kind of future, and luckily that is also being criticized a lot, that we are doing that and that we have to be aware of that we're just reproducing um, what our world is, but there is so many different worlds that we somehow have to bring together. So yeah, that is basically why I think we should move to become facilitators for in design and to design in a sustainable way. Um, and also because I think we can't be experts in everything, so we should try to bring together different knowledges and um, learn from one another, and only then we can understand the complexity of challenges we're facing, and then try to decide together what is a sustainable solution. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The fact that you mentioned that designers should think of themselves as facilitators and not as creators or as people who have hegemony over a certain form of city making or place making. That's lovely. Um, so this makes me wonder. So, as a facilitator, what kind of experiences or what kind of phenomenon inspire you, or in your design, what kind of values do you seek to embody?
Well, I think something that is very important for me, and also trying to be this facilitator, that is just to listen carefully and really being open to and understanding for what we are hearing, seeing, experiencing, and I think also be trying to be empathetic to what we are being told, and I think that is a big part of what we should try to follow in order to then design around well-being and social connection and trust, for example, and to think like this. I think these tools, if we are open-minded towards the people we are working with, and we listen to them, and we respond in a certain way, I think that is then also how we can gain trust. And yeah, by giving trust we gain trust, and I think that is super important um in working in design.
Yeah, of course. In the last 2 years, can you give us some examples, like of projects that you have pursued, which have sort of exemplified these values in some form or the other?
Yeah, I think talking about trust is definitely one of them, because I think that is a very beautiful opportunity to design only by looking at the word trust and what it means for others. Um, so another thing that I think is like really understanding what we're talking about. So trust can mean something else than it can mean to you, for example. And um, last year I was part of a project called TIA, and it was all about connecting and supporting the growth of a community of pregnant women, mothers, parents, and care providers. In the end, it resulted in a service system connecting a starter kit, an app, and support through social media. But to say that is what you might see in the first place, but the heart for us actually was about the aesthetics of a community. What is a community? How can we build one? How can we create one? What are like factors that are needed in a community? And so it was about the help and support and the trust that exists in a society, and if there is a way to shape that. And I think this service system was then the outcome of making this more visible and more understandable, what it could look like. What we aimed for with this was to have a space where exchange of information and knowledge can happen in a digital but also in a physical environment. And we did that by trying to give a tool to connect mothers or parents locally, but also using professionals' expertise from further away to then help parents to take decisions with confidence. Because I think confidence, this was around pregnancy and giving birth. And what we saw was that there is a lack of confidence, because there is so many questions and for each question you have 10 different answers, and in the end you don't really know anymore what is right or wrong for yourself. You lose a bit of like this gut feeling and what feels good and right for yourself, and you get lost in this and also lose trust in yourself. And we also wanted to try that those who have trust in themselves and experience, I think you also gain trust in yourself by experience, that they can then share that with others. There was um, one very beautiful statement of a participant that she um, has to trust in herself before she can help others gain trust in themselves. And but she really is willing to do that. But she also needs something to develop the trust in the decisions she's making. And I think that was also, yeah, really helpful to have these insights, the support of these participants who co-created this whole thing together with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, even RuPaul says, right? If you don't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love
Yeah.
somebody else? Yeah, so of course. And yeah, this is really interesting that you mentioned the phenomena of trust and the fact that you conducted research and you found a way to sort of channelize the qualitative aspects of that research into an experience that you could design through services and products, which at the end of the day are what sort of are tied into a business and a enterprise, which are funded eventually. So I think this work that you're doing is instrumental in sort of bridging the gap between what people need and want and desire from a certain entity or a product that they interact with, and then what others who want to provide this as a service or a product can actually do in the process. Very interesting. And I wonder, especially when it comes to trust, in our research, we have found that a lot of that has to do with the upbringing and also the place where you're brought. Because this also goes back to what you said about experience and worldview, which, as you correctly pointed out, is all situated. All of our knowledge is situated. So at this point, I would ask you, which city feels like home to you? Where did you grow up and where are you now? And how do you think that has affected your journey?
Well, right now I've been in Vienna for a couple of months and I've worked from here remotely. So Vienna feels like home right now, but I also have the privilege and the ability to, yeah, quickly adapt and make different places my home. And so very soon I'm going to move from here to Copenhagen, and I'm already looking forward to that. Yeah, but I'm still a bit like looking for which city is gonna be my home after I've graduated, and what are the factors that play into that, what makes it feel home. And because yeah, I'm coming uh, from the countryside. I think there's 7,000 people living in my village, and a lot of farms and um, yeah, tiny place, beautiful to nice to grow up to, but it's also some sort of bubble, and it's very small, and it is somehow narrow-minded. I mean, of course, it's like different people think differently, but the general tone, I always experience that as very conservative, and so I think, yeah, that is not a place where I could go back to, because I enjoy this the open-mindedness of bigger cities, and they feel more, yeah, welcoming to also to express different identities, different ideas of who you are, who you want to be. They're just more open to that. So I think that is also a place where I want to stay and grow, and where I see myself. But I don't know if that is gonna be Vienna or Copenhagen, or maybe back to Umeå.
Yeah, of course. The, it's interesting in one way because coming from India, I'm not entirely sure if our scales of a small, medium, or a big city are the same at all. So this makes me wonder, what exactly do you think makes a city or a town um, desirable? Or like, of course, we're talking about conscious cities here, aren't we? So if we tie it back to that idea, what do you think makes a city a conscious city, or a town a conscious town?
Yeah, there's many things playing into that. I think there is for sure the environment that is around you, like green places, for like facilities for leisure. Then I think it's also about protection of that environment, and helping it grow, and also seeing nature as an important stakeholder, and not only humans in a city. Um, so if I see that happening, that makes it very livable place. But then also I think we have to talk about things like what are affordable places. And I think right now what is happening is that there isn't so much space for people with lower income, and we're creating a lot of space for people who earn a lot. They get a lot of space for their massive cars, and we're just following that track, and that is very sad when I see that. And even places where for example, I think health support, health insurance, and just knowing that you get the health support you need wherever you are, that is a great thing, and it gives me a very safe feeling in the places I'm living at. And for example, I think in Munich that is the case, but then I just didn't enjoy seeing how much space yeah, cars have, streets have, and how strong that mentality is there. And yeah, so that is something I'm not enjoying so much about Vienna. For example, I think art and design gets a lot of space, and um, I really enjoy that. There's a good amount of different museums, and young artists who also get space to express their ideas, which is amazing. And yeah, so I think that's some really important factors. And I'm not even sure if I would like to stay in Austria also, because there's what I was saying earlier about this very conservative place I'm coming from. There is many points about Austria in general where I think Sweden is way ahead. Like childcare, for example, is a thing. In Austria, the general tone is still that childcare is women's work, and not a family thing, and therefore it is quite difficult to then get a place for your kids to stay for the day, because you might want to still work although you have children. And I think Sweden is just way better, or Scandinavia in general. And also about things like, yeah, the health system in general. Austria has a good health system, but then when it comes to sex education, abortion, contraception, these things are still I don't know which century, but we don't even like to talk about it in Austria. It's like we hide it somewhere, and it's like a taboo, which is a shame. And I feel like shouldn't we be much further when it comes to that? Yeah.
Yeah, that is fascinating because Europe in general seems like a big country with, 26 states. 26, 27.
27? Yeah, not sure.
Right. My goodness. Okay. It's interesting to see that, yeah, there's such a wide variety of cultural perspectives that get translated into how cities are built and how space in general is created. Now, you mentioned that different people should have space for expressing themselves, and the cities should find a way to support them. I was wondering if, as we wrap up this dialogue, you had any specific ideas or aspirations or just something that you're looking forward to in the future when it comes to your relationship with the city or with the space.
I think I would definitely like to try to be more part of the conversation. It can happen on in a, let's say, in a smaller scale first. And I've been working in a health care company now for a couple of months, so we could come like from different directions into that, I think, and be part of transforming and developing a city. But I think the general way I would like to be part of that is still also my personal stance in design, and trying to include a diverse group of people in the process, and stop this top to bottom approach, and yeah, also move the whole decision making process and how cities are developed from that, because I think we still face cities that are developed for basically half of the population, for men mostly, and forgets that there are other groups with other needs, and yeah, I would like to try to and find a way to get more discussion around that, and to um, develop strategies, and how we can get better in seeing different experiences, and just different people in their needs. um, yeah, I think that is mostly how I would like to approach it, but I haven't yet decided where this is gonna be.
Sure. Thank you so much, Katharina. It was a lovely chat that we had today, and I'm glad to have met you and to have spoken about just how things are in your life and how that has intersected with the design education scene in Umeå. And I'm just excited to see what's in store for you. And hopefully, we'll collaborate in the future at the CCD as well, because almost everything that you mentioned is something that we aspire to inculcate in the next generation of designers and city makers. So hopefully we'll be able to inspire and inform many more people as they watch this dialogue. So thank you so much and have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you too, it was really nice. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.